Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Bowers. I'm the director of the Small Business Development Center at Columbus State Community College. I want to welcome you to this special edition of Small Business Breakthroughs. Today, I'm sure everyone knows, is SBDC Day, which is a day that celebrates the work of small business development centers across the country. There are approximately 1,000 small business development centers across the United States, as well as 25 right here in the state of Ohio. Our Small Business Development Center at Columbus State covers Central Ohio, covers Franklin County and the contiguous counties, and we are happy to have you here today. This is, again, a special edition. We will have our regular edition later in the month, but SBDC is kind of an important day. SBDC Day is an important day for us because, again, it gives us an opportunity to kind of sit back and take a look at the kind of work that we've done, the amazing clients and small businesses that we've had the opportunity to interact with and support on their journey of growth. And we're just really excited about what we're able to do for small businesses. So we get to celebrate that today. And today we have one of our best clients, Jimmy Michell, Chef Jimmy Michell. He will be here with us as the guest. But before we start, I wanted to introduce Chaz Frutel from the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center and have Chaz talk a little bit about what's going on here at the deck.
Well, thank you, Mike. And I saw you struggling earlier with our sign.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing it in the background. That's great. No, welcome everybody. It's a pleasure to be on today, as it always is, and in partnering with the local Small Business Development Center location here in Central Ohio to provide some great insight and some business wisdom for our community, and just to make everybody a stronger and more successful business leader and business owner. And we take pride in that as well at the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center. It's actually next month is going to be the DEC's 15th anniversary of being in existence, and starting back in 2009, and one of the first, actually the first entrepreneur center in Central Ohio. And we've had the privilege of graduating over 200 businesses from the DEC and currently host about 100 now. And so just very excited to continue this type of programming and provide local businesses with a home for their business at a very affordable price, and just building a strong community to help others, and look forward to helping anybody that's on today or in the future. We actually have a nice sale or reduction going on through the end of the month. If anybody is interested, only that's on SBDC guests that are on today. If you have an interest in potentially looking at a space here at the DEC, we'd be happy to talk with you. I'll put my information in the chat, and you're welcome to reach out to me and see if there's some way we might be able to help you. But thanks again, and look forward to our guest speaker today.
Great. Thanks a lot, Chaz. It's always amazing to me when we think back to, 15 years of the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center. I mean, I remember going into the old building with Dana McDaniels, and there's holes in the walls and all kinds of stuff. And obviously Dana and the city of Dublin, fixed all of that and allowed the Entrepreneur Center to be born. And then it moved over here to the current location in Dublin on Metro Place. And if you are interested kind of in the story, what you might do is go back to one of our previous episodes with Rob Kopp, who was one of the architects along with Chaz in building this program. And speaking of that, we have another architect in building the deck coming up as our guest on the 28th, on March 28th, our regular SB or regular Small Business Breakthrough Day, Rick Copeland is going to be the guest that day. And Rick was involved with us in the early days of the deck. And Rick's going to talk about accessing equity capital, his experience in doing that. But he's also going to talk about some of the cool things he's doing now. He does work in the entrepreneurship efforts at Denison University, as well as a management consultant. So he's going to be talking about ways that businesses can grow and build their business. So that'll be really exciting. And then we have another special episode, which will be May 2nd. That is Small Business Week. I think after these two, we're kind of done. But we've got Small Business Weeks, the SBA effort, and that will be guests from 10,000 small businesses, the Goldman Sachs program. And we'll have some entrepreneurs that have graduated from that program talking about their experiences and how you, as an entrepreneur, if you are interested, can get involved with that program. So those are some really exciting things we've got coming up, and I look forward to those. But I'm really looking forward to today because we have Chef Jimmy Michell. I'm not used to calling him Chef. I'm just used to calling him Jimmy. But we have Jimmy on, and he is the owner and proprietor of J. Michell Spices and Sauces. This is a food-based business, and I'm excited about that because I don't think we've had any real food-based businesses on, and I kind of want to talk about his experience with that. But the thing that I didn't know this until kind of prepping for this with him, that as a serial entrepreneur, his experience goes back to businesses that were more traditional and things of that nature. So we're going to jump into that. So Jimmy, thanks for being here today.
Hey, Mike, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I'm excited, SBDC Day. And so I'm excited. Thanks again. You guys have been awesome to me. You've been a big part of, my business development. I'm ready to give any tools that I can, help any entrepreneur out there, or inspiring to be an entrepreneur out there, just to share what I've learned along the way. And I'm excited.
Yeah, great. Well, we're looking forward to this today. For those of you that are here live with us, I encourage you to go ahead and put any questions or comments that you may have, or introduction, if you want to introduce yourself, into the chat. And then Bruce and I will keep an eye on that and see if we make sure we get any questions you have answered. And at the same time, for those of you that may be watching this later, this is recorded and will be on our SBDC YouTube channel, which is Ohio. You search Ohio SBDC and look for the Ohio SBDC at Columbus State Community College on YouTube. And it will be part of our Small Business Breakthrough series. And I didn't realize, Bruce, that I think we are somewhere around 35 small business breakthroughs, which is surprising to me.
No idea.
Yeah, I know. I just enjoy doing it so much that it's just like getting to talk to some friends. So that's what we've got there, but we've got some really great content back on the YouTube channel. So Jimmy, let's jump in here, and why don't you just kind of tell us your superhero origin story, I guess. Just kind of go back and tell us your experiences in building and growing businesses.
Okay, awesome. Well, several businesses. I think it's total like five businesses that I've had. The first business that started out, and I got some notes down here too, because I don't want to, certain things I do want to highlight.
Sure.
I had a drum school. I was a drum instructor for 11 years. Me and my wife, we had a photo photo company, J&Y Photos. We also had a catering business, J&Y Catering, and all along, I've still cooked on the side. Then I end up, me and my wife, we end up having a restaurant, CJ's Carryout Restaurant. Very, it's very successful, but we had partnered with somebody, and some things was happening. So we moved on from there. And from there, that's where I went on into my business, J Mitchell's Spices and Sauces. Also, I'm a published author. I have a marriage book that's been out probably 7 years. Walking Together as One Flesh. We use that as marriage counseling, premarital counseling. So we do that. We've been doing that for like 35 years. So
Okay,
that's
wow.
something we do as well. You can get the books on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, order them online anywhere. But now my current business, J Mitchell Spices and Sauces. Actually, next month will be our sixth year in business. And J Mitchell Spice and Sauces, it stemmed from my restaurant. So when we had a restaurant, because I did all the menus and everything, a lot of our dishes needed, signature sauces. And so that's where I started creating, I call my test kitchen at the restaurant. And that's where the Woohoo sauce was birthed at. And to this day, that's one of our biggest sellers. And now, we're in 6 stores as well. We do online sales. We do a lot of pop-ups, a lot of different events. So we're busy. We're keeping busy. And even in doing J Mitchell Spices and Sauces, we still do, small events, with our photos and our small catering events. But my main focus now is on my sauces and spices, getting them out, in the market. And so that's where we've been, and this is where we are now. So that was the quick version.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a quick
Well,
version.
that's great. I mean, tell me a little bit more about how you got started, because going from, a drum instruction, which, in our conversation, you said, that was going really well, to kind of where you're at now. I know you said you kind of did some cooking and this and the other, but how did you get into this drum instruction as an kind of a small business? And then, how you talked about the steps, but what really inspired you to move from that into the other businesses?
Well, I did it for a long time. And plus I'm always been busy in my church. And so that took away a lot of my time. So I had to make a decision, okay, and it was very successful. And so I had to make a decision, okay, spend more of my time in church, do, my function in church. And from there, I let that go. And that's when me and my wife started the photography business. But I've always done cooking on the side. That's in our DNA on my side of the family. We have a line of cooks in our family, really good cooks. My mom, she was a chef at Mount Carmel East. She retired from, no, Mount Carmel West, I'm sorry. She retired from there. All my sisters are excellent cooks. And so that's just, and I've even heard, even some of our great grandparents, they had restaurants. So that has always been, I think, entrepreneurial has always been in my bloodline, in my families. My sisters, they have, they'll have their own business. Even today, my son, he has a successful business. So entrepreneurship has always been in our bloodline. And so going from the drum school, and figuring out, okay, hey, this would be good, and from there, the photo, then the catering, and just putting my hand, because I've always had a love for cooking. That's always been a passion of mine. And I think, well, my first professional cooking job, I call it professional, was at McDonald's.
Okay.
And I was a grill cook. And one of the things that I took pride in is putting my food up and making it, very appeasing looking. And so one of the things I used to get teased because, when I did the Big Macs, they were beautiful, and I would get compliments. Oh, that looks so pretty. That should be on, that's a photo sandwich. And so I always took pride in that. And even from that McDonald's job, that boosts my cooking confidence. And then from McDonald's, we, started growing, getting, having our own catering business. And it was just like a progression. And from the catering business, I worked at the Hyatt Regency downtown when they first built it. I was one of the first employees there. And they and I started out washing dishes there in the peppercorn duck club. And from there, always was asking the cooks how to do this, show me this, show me that. And so the head chef, he took me under his wing. And when I got done with my work, he would teach me how to cook. I mean, that was a 5-star restaurant. I'm not sure where they're at now, but back then, Peppercorn Duck Club, that was one of the upscale restaurants, even in Ohio. And so from there, I learned more. He trained me. And then I end up start cooking on the line with him. And then on Sundays, I had my own Sunday brunch. I ran a brunch out in the main dining area. So I did all the garde work, decorated all the ice sculptures. And so that was my step up professional training, professional job. And from there, I started learning, dietary. So I started working in, hospitals, Mount Carmel West, Wesley Ridge Retirement Center, different hotels. Let's see, what's that? The conference center down in Lewis Center, Nationwide
Yeah,
Hotel Conference Center.
Mhm.
So I worked in their main kitchen. I mean, that's a huge. So from there, I started evolving and doing a lot of different cooking jobs. And so the passion just grew. And so just having my own business has always been a desire. And so from there, I just started working on my business. Everybody, how you get a lot of people when they like something, a product or something that you do, they always want to eke you. Hey, you ought to go into business. You ought to do this. You ought to bottle this. And so I got that a lot. And so one day when my buddies was over my house, and so he really, really hit me home and said, you ought to put this in bottles and quit playing. And so from that time on, that's where I started bottling, started testing, working on different recipes in my kitchen at home and putting together spices and sauces that I felt would really be a demand for customers. Because, being in the culinary field, I learned, different palettes, learn how to, mix spices, different things. I've always been a spice head. So that was kind of the progression, Michael.
What I find interesting about that is, we get a lot of people that they come up with an idea, a business idea,
Mm-hmm.
based on, something they experience or something they see or something like that, but they don't really have the experience to pull it off. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I mean, I always my thing, and I actually had this happen. Somebody once called me looking for money because they wanted to open a restaurant, and the reason was because they like to eat at restaurants. So I'm like, you might need a little more than that. But you know, your experience is that you kind of worked your way up
Mm-hmm.
as you did that to where you know you have the experience and you have you know been there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Talk about your thoughts around that, about kind of taking your time, kind of paying your dues, for lack of a better word, so you can learn. So when you're ready to do this, you're actually ready to do this.
Yeah, well, you definitely you got to take your time. And one of the things that and one of the questions that we had even in our that you had sent me was some of the challenges. And I think in working your way up into that area, you got to do research first. And first, and one of the things that I do suggest is, I mean, that's very helpful, is have some type of a background in what you're pursuing. Because a lot of times, just like this situation you just made, I want to start a restaurant because I like to eat. That's not a good reason. And when you find that, you find that a lot in small businesses, they don't have that type of a background or the type of knowledge or the type of skill set that would help that business, and that's really beneficial for them to even be a small business owner. But you have to, I believe that somewhere in there, you have to have some type of background, some type of a training, work in it somewhere, somehow, some type of knowledge of it. Because when you have some type of knowledge, and just like I said, just like when I started even in McDonald's, you know, that was my starting point. That was my beginning, so I had some type of knowledge, understanding cooking procedures, how to work in the kitchen, how to work as a team, you know, how to make what you do the best. So it's always starting at that small place, the very beginning. And that I find out helps a lot of people. Well, I know it helped me. And so that's one thing I would suggest, just build your way up, learn, do that research, get with somebody that's in that industry, let them teach you something, give you some little nuggets, and practice at home.
Right.
Because it's easy to say I want to start a business, but you have no knowledge of the business. That's totally different. And so a lot of times those don't last long.
Right. Absolutely. So kind of sticking with the food part of this for a moment. What would you say are some of the things that are really critical, very specific to the food part of this? So
Mhm.
you had a restaurant, so
Mhm.
that's a pretty big undertaking. You said I think you did catering, did some different things, and
Mhm.
where you're at now, I would think probably requires some obviously recipes, and you got to be very specific. You got to be able to duplicate all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
From the food standpoint, what are some of the critical pieces that food entrepreneurs need to be thinking about?
Well, some of the critical things is you got to do research on your background, whatever area in the food industry, because some may be doing food carts, some may be doing a restaurant, some may be doing, baking, some may be doing sauces and spices, or one or the other. But some of the critical things is, you got to do the research on your background. Where are you planning on going in your business? You have to know some background of your business. You have to be able to be able, well, for one, you have to be teachable. Get under somebody that's already successful in that area. Learn all you can. Reach out, do your research, because the more you learn, the easier it is for you, in whatever food industry. Because say like my industry, my area, sauces and spices, I had to learn from the very beginning. I did the research. I called people, to figure out, okay, how do I go from point A even to point B? Not even getting it in the market yet, but just from point A. Okay, where do I look for product? Where do I look for containers? Where do I look, for labels? Just things that's going to help you. You need to reach out to people, because a lot of times I found out that even in the cooking industry, some people think because they they cooked off some recipes that they can start a restaurant. And one thing I found out, even in the different areas that I've worked, um, a lot of people that even come out of culinary school think they can run a restaurant.
Okay.
They don't teach you. They don't teach you the intricate parts in culinary school on how to run a restaurant. You may get some of the ins and out of some of the little business structures, but it's totally different. And so I worked with some of them that came right out of culinary school and did not know how to even run a kitchen, but they wanted to start a restaurant. And so it's about doing that research. It's about getting under a mentor, somebody that can teach you, that can train you, because in the food industry, it's a big business. And even the FDA, you got to be able to learn the guidelines of food handling, whether it's, you're serve safe, all those things. You got to do that research on everything that deals with food, because it's more than just you cooking and serving people. You putting up a couple of recipes, putting them in a bottle and selling it to people. It's a whole lot that goes behind that you have to learn the basics. Because one thing when I talk to entrepreneurs, or those that want to start a business, I let them know, I tell them, don't miss a step, because you don't want to go so fast that you got to go back over at the beginning and correct some things that you missed.
Yeah.
And so it's about learning the process of starting a food business, and not just jumping in and just running and taking off like you got everything, because what happens, it'll come back to bite you.
Yeah. So, Jimmy, Teresa Green, who's part of our team, I Teresa. She's also a food entrepreneur also. She wanted to know, how do you go about kind of starting this seasoning line?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, that's fine. One thing that I learned that I did, I tested my products with different people. I'll let different people try them, and give me feedback, what you liked about it, what you don't like about it. First of all, in order to have a good product, you want to get other people's advice, get their feedback, versus, what you like may not be what the masses like. And you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we think, okay, because it's good to me, it's going to be good to everybody else. And so no, make sure you get some samples out, get that good feedback, and from there, then you learn, okay, so what is your target? Are you looking to go into stores? Are you looking, what kind of scale are you looking to have your business on? Because some people are good with just doing the minimum. Okay, now you got to do research on containers. So you got containers, you got lids, you got labels, and you got your nutrition panels. And so all these things you have to learn, because when you're doing with spices, because that's under the cottage law. And so you don't have to have a manufacturing or a processing plant that you have to send it to get it analyzed, like you got to do sauces. So you can do it at home, but you still have to have your nutrition labels up to FDA standard. So you got to have everything that you need, everything from your ingredients, your calories, per servings, all these things. You got to have all this. So it's more than just putting a label with your name on it and your address. So it's that process, because if you miss that process, especially when you're selling your product. So I don't know if that's one of the things that they're looking at to do, is selling it or just having it, because just having it and just is different from if you're going to go into the market, because there's certain things you have to have. Even the LLC, do you have your DUNS number? So you got to have that, so that way if you do go into the store, that's their research, and that's their connection back to you. So again, it's about about those steps, your labels, right, your containers. Right. And so from there, what do you plan on doing now? You plan to go into the big market? You plan on just going low scale And so you got to have a plan. You can't just go into it blind. So those are some of the beginning steps, that I would say that would be very helpful. And then go out and market your product, because one of the things that I found out that was successful is sometimes you got to give away products free and let people sample them, versus saying, okay, you got to pay for this, and if it's not good, people waste their money. Now they're coming back, and they don't have nice things to say about you or your product.
Yeah.
So I would say those are some of the good basics in the beginning. And so there's some more, but we can get into that later on.
Yeah. So Teresa, one thing I'd recommend is that Bruce is in the office every Friday. So start bringing in your samples and things for Bruce every Friday.
Yeah.
And, so he can try things and work on that kind of stuff. So
Thank
the
you.
other thing, Jimmy, we have another question here about your ingredients. How do you buy those? Do you buy them in bulk, or how do you do that?
Well, it's funny. I started out buying them. When I started out, let's see, I think I went to 3 to 4 stores because I started out with ingredients that was in my pantry, that was already in my cupboard.
Yeah.
And so I had to go out and find where these ingredients, with all the stores that I got these ingredients, because some stores didn't have it. I had to go to GFS. Then I had to go to Restaurant Depot. Then I had to go to Sam's Club. And then every now and then I would have to go to Walmart, because if GFS didn't have it, they might have it at Walmart. And if Walmart didn't have it, I might have to go to Restaurant Depot. So it was crazy. And so, and so that's how I started out of my pantry and trying to get those ingredients that I put together. And this was just one product. And this was mainly from one product. I had to go like to 4 stores to get all the ingredients. So from there, and it's according to how many ingredients you have in your product. And sometimes, you might have to take out an ingredient, in order to, for cost save. But yeah, that's what I had to do in the beginning. But now I have a company that I send my recipes to. They got it perfect, and so I buy from them in bulk. But then the first company I did, it was Coalescence, and that was the first company. I think it was through you guys, through the Urban League, that introduced me to Coalescence. And so I went to Coalescence first, and that's where I started. That was the next step after I had to go to different stores and find find the different products that I needed. And so now I have a company that I use now, bam, great, very, very popular. And if you need that, whoever, and if they need that information, I can get that to them for that company.
The other question we have here is that how long did it take you to kind of perfect your spices?
It didn't take me long. It didn't take me long because I knew the taste that I wanted, that I was looking for out of each product. And so I knew which spice to put together, to marry together, to get that taste. So it didn't really take me, let's see, for my spice, for the spice blend, that was the longest, because they had like 11 different ingredients. That's why I had to go to all them stores. It took me maybe like 5 or 6 months for that. The spice rub, it only took me like 2 days. The Cajun garlic pepper, that took me about 3 hours. And and the Italian blend, that only took me maybe like 3 or 4 hours. And so they did those because the certain spices didn't need as many ingredients.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit. Let's kind of shift gears a little bit more to the business component of it. You've talked a couple of different times about connecting with people, on the food side. Mm-hmm. But what's your experience in terms of one, networking to kind of connect to different people and things like that, but also networking and also finding mentors that you can work with that can support what you're trying to do here.
Okay, great. Yeah, because I found networking is very important, especially that personal networking. Because some people they like networking through social media.
Right.
But I think that personal networking is very key, to building your business. Because even in that's where you get exposure. That's where you may, you be able to meet people that you may have that may could use your product and that you can use theirs, or you might can collaborate together. And this is and networking is a time that I found out that you can really sell your business. You can really sell your business because you got that interaction at one-on-one. Now you got individuals, personal attention per se. And so now that's a time for you to sell your business, and they sell their business. And so now and you can create other networks through networking, even in that area. And so what I mean by that is say like if I meet Michael in a networking event and I talk to him about my product and he talked to me about his, and he lets me know, hey, well, I know somebody that probably could use your product. And then I say, well, hey, so-and-so over there, young man over there I just talked to, he was just asking about somebody that, in this field, in this part of the culinary, that he needs a food truck per se. And Michael has a food truck. And I say, hey, this guy was just telling me about, he needs a food truck for, and there I go, connecting. And that's what I'm talking about, that network where you can connect with more people. And then that way your network grows, your relationships, your business relationships grow. And so it's very important. And that's why I say about, and that's one of the key things that I found out that has helped my business is that networking. And what was that second part of that question, Mike?
About the mentors.
The mentor, yes.
Getting, on the food side, but also just on the business side to help you kind of figure out what you need to do. Because like I said, you don't know everything,
No.
but it's important to have somebody that you can reach out to, whether it's a formal advisor or just, somebody that that'll take your call.
Yeah. I mean, and that's another big part, the networking and having a mentor, because having a mentor having a true mentor will show you things about your business that you don't see, may see things about your business that you don't see that can help you. And a true mentor will just tell you the truth on things that you need to change, and again, it goes back to us not knowing everything. And realizing, hey, I don't know everything about this business. I don't know everything about about food costs. I don't know everything about sanitation, things like that. I mean, that that deals with your food, that deals with food.
Right.
So a mentor is very critical in business building. And some of the biggest companies, or some of the biggest, the wealthiest, they always have mentors. That's why you might hear wealth advisors, things like that. But mentors, they are very critical in you building your business. So SBDC, they have some awesome mentors. Whether it's Bruce, whether it's Michael, whether it's Ellen Harvey. Because when I first started out, Ellen Harvey and Evelyn Cleveland, those were my two mentors. And they really helped me a lot. And to this day, they still, I still pull on them. I still call on them, every now and then, hey, Bruce, what's going on? What do I need to do? You let me know what's going on, and even Michael, what's going on? Tell me something, there's something I'm missing, so I'm always open, to change, because there's sometimes even in the food and really in the food industry where things shift. And if you don't have a good mentor, then we can our business can collapse.
Right.
Because again, the mentor shows us things and see they're like another set of eyes, a professional eyes, put it that way, that a lot of times we'll miss things. We may go in the wrong direction. We may make a bad investment or getting ready to make a bad investment. But a true mentor will say, nah, Jimmy, I don't think that's wise right now. Why don't you go this way? And a good business person will listen to a good mentor.
I think that the thing about that is one, I always tell people, one, you got to build your team. And a lot of times they think, okay, well, I got to build my team. What's that mean? It's not, part of it could be hiring people and, the people that work for you, and that's fine. But I always talk to them, I say that, I'm looking for, you got to build a team around you.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever that is, that can be, somebody that knows insurance, somebody that's, the legal side, the CPA and things like that, that you trust, even if you're paying them, you trust that. And then I think the other thing that really is important is when you're getting a mentor, if there's a way that you can set up some sort of structure with that. Now you don't want to waste their time, obviously, but maybe once every 6 months or something like that, you're going to get together, you're going to share your financials, and you're going to get some real feedback. Because I think sometimes if it's really informal, then you don't share the bad stuff. You only share, hey, this is what we're doing, man. Tell me how great I am. But you need to have somebody that, even if you're embarrassed about it or whatever, you got to be able to share that, because that's how you're going to get to help with that.
Right. And that's important, because we cannot be too prideful that we don't accept, for one, criticism, whether it's good or bad, and not to the point where where we're hiding stuff, even when we do talk to our mentor, and like Michael said, not sharing everything, keeping all the bad stuff, and locked up, but then sharing good stuff, and that doesn't do you no good, because eventually it's going to come out, it's going to tell on you. So why not now be honest? Because that's the whole purpose of having a mentor. And when you have a mentor, that means you're supposed to trust your mentor's advice. You may not always agree with the mentor, because you might want to go this way. They might see something else, because a lot of times a mentor, they've been through different business owners that have bumped their heads because of going that way. When they say, okay, well, it's your business, but I'm just giving you some advice. And so you always got to weigh it. So it's not that everything the mentor says is 100% positive, but you never want to shut their advice out. You always want to take it in account and and weigh, okay, well, is this something that you just want to do, or is something that you feel you need to do? There's two different things, because
if you have a mentor too, I always tell people that get a mentor, share the good, share the bad, take feedback. But what they tell you to do doesn't mean that you have to do it either.
Right.
It's your business. It's not their business. Right. And, I've been involved in advisory boards before where, the entrepreneur was getting feedback, do this, do that. They're going down a path, which is where they want to be. And I'm trying to guide them down that path. And I got other people saying, well, hey, you ought to try this and you ought to try that. So all of a sudden you got people pulling on you. And, that's when you got to really say, okay, what is it that I'm wanting? Where am I trying to go? And that's almost to the point when you're starting, what's your vision for where you want to go?
Yeah.
And, what are my mission? Where am I trying to go? Because then once you have that, it's a lot easier to kind of stay on the track, but you still got to be able to take that kind of feedback and information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never get too proud.
Yeah. I got a couple of other questions. It always amazes me how fast these things go.
It is. Wow.
So your business is a certified minority business.
Yes.
So can you, one, talk a little bit about that process? I know it's been a while since you went through the,
Mhm.
the doing it process. I think
Yeah.
you said you've been certified for about 6, 7 years, but kind of that. But then once you're certified, I think this is where people get confused. And you and I talked about it. All right, cool. I got my certification.
Yeah.
Now what?
Right.
What am I supposed to do now?
Right. Right. Well, certification it's paperwork, paperwork, paperwork. That's what I tell people: paperwork, paperwork, paperwork. Yeah, you gotta make sure that that for one, you got your financials in order, or it's gonna drag it out. It's gonna be a long process, longer than it should be. Because you can always reach somebody in that area to help you out, to help you fill that paperwork out. Because I know I had to go to Ella and Evelyn several times when I started. Hey, I don't understand this part. I don't understand this part. Okay. And they sat down, they walked me through it. Okay, this is what you need to do. This is what this means. And so don't try to do it all on your own, because you're gonna run into a snare or a little roadblock. So always get help. Get help. They're there to help you. So always reach out for help. But it is paperwork. Um, and after the paperwork, you got to have those things in order. Whether it's your business plan, all those. And in the beginning, they'll have a list of things that you need to have. And I would say one of the biggest things is your financials. Or get your financials in order beforehand. So now So before you even go to get certified, start getting your financials in order before you even get your application.
Yeah.
Get those in order. And some of them may be struggling with it now, but get help. Just ask for help. They're there to help you. And so after that, so it's now what? What do you do after you get certified? One thing I know is, you can't sit around and waiting for somebody to call you. You can't sit around, okay, now I'm certified MBA or WBA or, all the other acronyms, now what do I do? No, you still hit the pavement. You still got to work. You still got to pound. You still got to go out there and sell your product. Whether it's a brick and mortar, you still got to go out there and do the legwork. Okay. The certification is saying, okay, hey, they met the requirements. So if you're talking about bidding for the city, bidding for the state, bidding for the government or whatever, now they can look back, they can trace you back and say, hey, they're certified in this area. So, and a lot of times even the certification will open up doors for you, but they're not going to come to you. You got to do some leg work. You got to still market yourself. You got to still go out and reach out now. Okay, from SBDC, say, okay, now, okay, what are some of the areas I need? Okay, they send out all these lists of classes, all these trainings, all these different things, all these different training tools to equip us, for us, and events, things like that, to get us even further along after the certification. So now we have to put ourselves out there even more and research and say, okay, where am I going now? You got to know where you're going after the you got to know where really before you get certified. You have to have a direction on where you're going to go in your business, especially the food industry, because it's a lot of food. There's a lot of food trucks that's out there now. It's a lot of restaurants that's popping up now. It's a lot of different events that's going on now. And so you got to be able to learn how to market yourself as well. Get take some of these classes, take all of them that you can, take advantage, because after you're certified now, doors will open. opportunities, but you got to take these classes. These classes are vital, a lot of different events, whether it's networking, whether it's learning how to keep your finances together, whether it's learning, okay, now you got 1 or 2 employees now that's working under you. Okay, so now you have some direction, but you got to get the footwork. You can't just sit around and wait for, now you're going to get phone calls because you certified. That ain't going to happen.
Right. Right. I mean, I think you hit it on the head, because you've got to keep this networking up. You got to keep selling yourself, selling your story. And the certification becomes a new tool in your tool belt that could open some doors.
Yeah.
If you get to the right place, but you got to get to the right place first. And then they'll say, okay, hey, are you certified? Yeah. Okay. Well, then all of a sudden you're good. But I love your point that they're not going to just look at the list. Oh, okay. Here's Jimmy. He's certified.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. Because Mike, one thing I did, because even some of the business portals like Kroger's, like Giant Eagle, like Target, a lot of these companies, they have specific, they're looking for those certified businesses. And so as you go into their portals and things like that, it's about you doing your research, you doing the work, you putting yourself out there, and they have all these opportunities, for these businesses that are certified. And so, and even as we were talking about, even some of the government or city or state biddings, you're not going to be able to bid nothing if you're not certified.
Right.
So, and so whether you have your own products, whether you want to render a service, whether you have a food truck, or even, you're marketing, baked goods or whatever, they want to know if you're certified.
Right.
And it's amazing how many businesses out there now, you're not going to get in if you're not certified.
Yeah.
They're
Absolutely.
not going to even looking at you, because that's one of the things that's on the application, certifications.
Yeah. I got one primary question. I got one ending question.
Okay.
I know that you have worked with Ellen Harvey on our team on the funding side, along with a variety of other things. You've mentioned her a couple of times. And when you talked about, using Ellen as a mentor, she's definitely somebody that's going to tell you the truth. So that's
You're right.
The good
thing. And she's got me straight several times.
Yeah. But talk a little bit about, funding your business, because I see a lot of people that come in and they are just really, I'm starting this business. Maybe they haven't even done the research you talked about. And all I need is $25,000 or something like that. Well, one, they haven't done the work, but what your experience, say you've done the work. I mean, what's your experience with the funding side?
Well, my experience with the funding side, and one thing I knew that I had to do was to have my financials in order. I had to get my financials in order before I even approached, to get funding. So I think that's the key right there, because they're going to send you right back to get your financials. Okay, because they want to see numbers. They want to see what you've been doing, what you've done, and your projection, where you're going to go. They want to see those things. And so one of my experiences is making sure that I have my financials, present this, hey, this is what I want to do. But let me back up real quick, because I started my business out with $350 of my own money.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think a lot of times small businesses want funding before they put something in it. And so this is my belief, and from experiences, even in other different, dealing with other small business friends of mine, they wanted to start a business, but they didn't want to put nothing in it, but they want others to fund them. But I started out funding myself. I started taking out my own money first. And so, but that was my process.
Yeah.
That was my process. But yeah, looking to the different entities, SBDC, go to, you got to go to some of these financial institutes that deals with small businesses, but have your financials together before you go, because you're gonna waste your time. And so that was my process, going through that, and because I was connected, with the Urban League, with SBDC, with the Chamber of Commerce, now I had some direction, because when you're not connected with nobody, it's hard. It's hard to get direction, and it's hard to get funding. And so even coming through SBDC for financing, because I was a part of them before I even asked for money. And so that was one of my keys and one of my learnings. So that's what I would say. First, this is me. You got to put something in out of your own personal, and not expect you just to automatically get funding. And so that right there, that's one of the things that I would share, even about the road to funding for me. And so I did qualify, end up qualifying after Ellen got me together, for Kiva, and, and for a line of credit. And so they'll let you know, okay, what's the best route for you to go? Whether it's line of credit, whether it's a business credit card, or whether it's a loan, So they will give you that expertise, according to where you are in your business. And so that's one thing I found out, even as my road to financing.
Right. One of the things when we're talking about funding, and I like what you're talking about, because you got to get the financials together, and a lot of people are intimidated by that. They didn't get into it to be accountants. They got into it to be a chef, or they got into it to do something else. But that's a critical part, because the financials are really what tells a financial institution or somebody that's going to give you money what your game plan is financially going forward. And what I would say is, to say that you sit at home and you do all that, and then you go to the bank. If it's not right, not saying you'll never get a loan, but that also tells the financial institution or the lender or whomever that they may not know what they're doing, right? So that's where coming to someplace like the SBDC, going to the Urban League or one of these other partners that can basically look at this for you and say, okay, I think you're missing something here. You're missing something there. Bruce works with entrepreneurs all the time around their business plan, and they oftentimes have great narratives about how great they are in their businesses, but they may not even have financials, so it's all part of it, and it all has to speak from the same hymnal, for lack of a better word. It's all got to, the financials and the narrative got to match up. And I've seen narratives and financials that look like two different businesses. So it's really important to kind of connect all that.
Right. And just like you said, because some businesses think because I got a good business plan, then that automatically qualifies me for finances. Not true. Not true.
Right.
You can have a good business plan, but if your financials is not lined up and is not in order, you're going to have to go back. And that's what I was saying, going through every step that you need to, and not skipping none. Because if you skip steps, then you're going to have to go back and start back over, especially when it comes to getting funding. You can take your business plan into a bank, but if you ain't got your financials, you still going to have to go back and take care of that. So, so learn that in the beginning part, learn it now, so that's why we're trying to help in that area. So, because I find out, and I had to learn that. Michael. And that's one thing Ellen taught me, because she said, no, Jimmy, this ain't right. No, here, take this back. No, this is what you do. No. And so I had to go back, and it was getting frustrating, but I knew I had to do it. because as being the sole owner, and doing everything, then that's a learning part for me. So now I have to learn this part of the business. So even when you're in the food industry, and I'm going to share this with everybody, even though you're in the food industry, that still does not negate you learning about finances. That does not negate you learning about stewardship. Because when you do get the finances, if you're not a good steward over those, then you know what's going to happen.
Right.
Your business is not going to succeed. So there's a negative and there's a positive. You be a good steward, you're going to thrive. You be a bad steward, even when you get financing, then it's not going to last, because the financing is not just for your personal gain, but it's to help you grow your business, then your personal.
Yep.
But still, so I learned you still got to pay yourself, but you don't pay yourself 90 and put 10 in your business. That's not good stewardship. And so then now when the payments start coming, now you're struggling. So
yep.
Just trying to help.
Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely right. So that's great. I want to kind of wrap up here. This has been a great hour talking about things. Jimmy, I really appreciate you jumping on here.
No
I do want to thank the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center. I want to thank Chaz and Susie for everything that they do to help entrepreneurs. And if you have interest in having conversations about the deck, they have a variety of different options in terms of ways that you can engage with the deck. So it's not, you don't have to have full-blown office space. You can be virtual. You can do a variety of different things. And the other thing is, talking about networking, the deck does some really cool stuff around networking and trying to connect entrepreneurs and different things like that. So that is another thing that I'd encourage you to kind of check out the website and different things like that. But if you have an interest in engaging, and Chaz said that for those of you that are on here, if you have an interest in space or becoming a tenant, of even a virtual tenant, reach out, because this is they may have some opportunities for you to save a little bit of money. So jump on that. And again, I appreciate you guys' support. And Bruce, as always, thank you for getting everything set up and getting everything into the chat. Jimmy, again, thank you very much for this. This has been great. I mean, for me, it's been great because, again, I've known you through the SBDC. I've known you from doing different things, but the opportunity to kind of interact with you as we prepared for this, and obviously today, learned a lot more about your background and what you're doing. So again, I really appreciate everything you're doing to create your business,
Bruce.
everything you're doing to really help the ecosystem here in Columbus. But thank you for being on here, and I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, and I thank you for inviting me on. And just want to share to the audience one more time. SBDC, connect with them, because they're an awesome group of people. They got your best interests at hand, and you will grow if you do what they tell you.
Great. I appreciate that. Bruce, make sure we clip that part off and put that into advertising later. So again, thank you for that. Do want to mention our next Small Business Breakthroughs is March 28th. That will feature Rick Copeland, and we'll be talking about private equity as well as ways that he has learned that business owners can grow their business. So I think it'll be again another exciting and interesting program. So please jump on there. And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up on this SBDC Day 2024. I want to thank everyone who's engaged with the Small Business Development Center, and we've been able to help and work with. You guys allow us to do what we do, and we really appreciate it. So thanks a lot, and I hope you guys have a great day.
All right. See you later.